Hello guys, what's up? Excoundrel here, and it has been a month, I know. If you want to know why it's been a month, at the end of the video I will do a quick story time and talk about it, but for now, let's focus on the video at hand, which is looking at Update 2.6, the buffs and nerfs, and also talking about Grace. As you can see, I am very excited for a couple of things this update, notably, one of them being Sky's Ride or Die skin, which I think is one of the best skins Vainglory has ever done. I really like the Tier 3 Nether Knight Lance, but also this has been a fantastic skin. Loads of great things this update. Cool new skins for Koshka, Cruel, Sky and Samuel. Also those wonderful communication pings that we have involved, as well as matchmaking updates and also the visual skill tier reset. But let's move on to the important things, which is the buff and nerf sheet. This is just a quick explanation of who has been buffed and nerfed this update if you haven't had the time to read the patch notes. Flicker, Kestrel, Samuel and Cruel have been buffed. Lance is somewhere in the middle, I'll talk about him at the end. Baron, Grumpjaw, Poison, Shiv and Vox have been nerfed. The major nerfs to those listed is to Vox and Grumpjaw, and the major buffs I would say is to Cruel and Kestrel. Everything else is kind of small or negligible. Lance has had a buff to his damage on his R, on his roll ability, sorry, on his C ability, and has had a nerf to the cooldown of his Githian Wool, which is his B ability. If you use Lance in Captain, you'll notice that realistically this is a nerf, but if you're going full damage, then you might actually notice a bit more of a buff, because you actually get a 75 damage bonus at the end. Now let's talk about Grace. Grace is the new hero, and I can guarantee she is going to be my favourite hero in Vainglory from now on. She is just so cool. Her heroic perk can be hard to get your head around. It is a attack that happens after her basic attacks. It reduces her cooldowns by 1.5 seconds if an enemy is hit, including an enemy unit like a minion. It also slows the enemies, does a little bit of extra damage to them as well. So it's a pretty fantastic ability all round. The problems with it is that Grace does lock herself up. Using this ability, she can't move while casting it, which is pretty bad when she's trying to attack, move, or kite. So in some instances, it may be better to just completely stop this wind-up animation altogether. You can do that by tapping on an attack target again, and Grace will just do her basic attack. You have to wait around 0.5 seconds for this ability to be cast. Now there's another part of Grace's kit which affects her A and her C, which is Holy Shield. It's a 40% damage reduction, and it has a 5% CP scaling. So at 100 CP, you'll get 5% damage reduction on top of that. This is very important because Grace has a very, very low base health, and it only scales to just above Celeste. So a lot of Grace's survivability comes from her ability to use her Holy Shield correctly, which means she's not a face-tanking hero. She's not like Lance or Finn, who can just tank everything. Now let's having a look at her A ability. It's basically a gap-closing damage-dealing ability that gives both Grace and an ally a Holy Shield. And on leveling the ability up, you get a passive which further reduces damage to Grace at all times by 10%, which means if you have a Holy Shield and have you also upgraded this ability, you will get a 50% damage reduction on Grace whenever you have Holy Shield activated. Very important, because like I said, her base health is very, very low for a melee carry or a melee support. So it's very important that you use your Holy Shield at the right times to negate the most damage possible. Otherwise, you just will not be able to tank the damage necessary to make Grace a good captain. Let's have a look at her B ability. This is the ability that I think makes her. I think it's a fantastic ability. You get a full 1 second knock-up all around you, which is a full disable, including movement and abilities on the enemies. You have a 200% scaling ratio on it in terms of damage, and the base damage is already very high. You get an overdrive with a free reflex block on it, so you can't be affected while channeling it. The downside is it's got a massive energy cost. So that ability all round is fantastic, but in the early game, especially if you use it kind of to clear jungle camps or to push waves, you'll find that your energy bar depletes very quickly. It is 125 energy cost at all ranks. Grace starts off with about 250 energy, so 2 casts of this ability will cripple your energy pool. So you have to be very sparing about when you use it. In the late game, Grace is about 650 energy. You can use it a bit more freely, but it still does cost a lot of energy, and so that's important to note. It is an ability that has to be used at the right time, and especially when you are getting the cooldown reduction using your heroic perk, essentially, you could run out of energy very quickly. So using Grace's B ability at the right time is very important. Her ultimate kind of speaks for itself. Both her and an ally get a full holy shield, which basically gives them that percentage damage reduction. You get a massive heal with a good CP ratio, and when you overdrive it, you get a 30-second cooldown. The only problem with this ability is Grace disables herself for about 2 seconds. You are stood there channeling. However, this is kind of compensated with the massive range. Unfortunately, I have no friends and can't show you in practice mode her channeling it, but look at the range on the ability. It's almost the same range as Glaive's Afterburn ability, so you've got a very, very long range to channel your ultimate with, which means you can use it from quite far back. You can use it to protect allies that overextend. You can use it to protect allies that get caught out. Fantastic ability, especially for solo queue. So let's have a look at whether Grace will be good. As a captain, I talked about it as well. She's very reliant on using her Holy Shield ability. It basically keeps her alive because of her low health pool. She also doesn't have any health scaling, so none of her abilities get better with health like Lyra does or like Adagio does. So in this instance, yes, her health will help her with a Holy Shield. Any extra health you get means that you are going to get more effective Holy Shields because your effective health pool increases, therefore you have more health that you can shield. But you don't get anything that benefits your allies, so you'll only benefit yourself, realistically, if you get more health. She needs to be basic attacking enemy units to get and reduce her long cooldowns, which can be a bit of a pain, and she might need energy regeneration in her build if, the B ability does cause you crippling energy problems in the later game. She's also very bad versus range. The gap closing on her A is quite small, and also with the wind up on her heroic perk, she can get very easily kited. You need to be hitting enemies with your heroic perk, and it's got a very short range from your basic attack range, and that's a problem because if you can't hit enemies, you don't get the cooldown reduction on your abilities, which are very, very long cooldowns realistically compared to a lot of other heroes in the game. So she needs cooldown reduction and she might need energy regeneration. So cooldown reduction and energy regeneration might become a vital part of a Grace captain build. Let's look at the upsides, however, as we have just looked at the downsides, obviously. She's got incredible disengage potential. If an enemy gets a catch on one of your allies, you can use your ultimate, you can use your A, and you can also use your B to disrupt their advance. There's so many ways to protect allies with Grace's kit. She's got incredible disengage potential. She's also got great protection for a hypercarry. Holy Shield is a great ability to channel onto a hypercarry on your team, like a Vox, for instance, so you can protect them in almost any situation. She's also very good against hypercarries. If you can land your A on a hypercarry on the enemy team, it gives everybody on your team near you damage reduction against that target. So say you yourself and a Glaive jump in onto an enemy Vox, suddenly your Vox will be doing less damage to both you and Glaive, meaning that you have more time to chase him down and kill him. She also works very well with health, like I said previously, only for herself because she gets innate damage reduction. So any health items that you give Grace will get more value than most other captains in the game because of the damage reduction Grace has from Holy Shield. She needs that base health realistically as a captain to become tanky because of the low health values compared to almost every other captain in the game. Again, like I said, she's more around Celeste's health, very, very, very far off something like a Lance's health. She's also got great ability to use combos and keep enemies locked up. If you can get them locked up in a B, land basic attacks, reset your B, you can basically keep enemies locked up, for 1 second, followed by a couple of seconds down, followed by another 1 second knockup. She's got great combo making potential, and that's why I think I'm going to like her a lot. So what about her carry potential? Because she's got great CP scaling ratios. Let's look at the drawbacks first and then we'll talk about the positives. She's got a very low HP pool. We've talked about that throughout this little teaser of Grace, which means that as a melee CP carry, especially one without any HP built into her kit because she's not going down the captain or the roam items, she can very easily be killed if you're not timing her Holy Shield correctly. She's also got very, very long cooldowns with a high energy cost on her B, which means if you're using her B and missing, suddenly your ability to trade has gone out the window. You also can't use her B to clear jungle camps because you're going to use too much of your energy pool to do that. Even if you do get the healing and regeneration camps, it won't regen the energy necessary to keep you at a high energy value. However, she's got great clear potential with her heroic perk, so always keep that in mind. And we talked about it in the captain section as well. She's very, very easily kited with the long wind-up times on her heroic perk and the very small gap closer that she has on her A. Remember, you need to hit your heroic perk to get that 1.5 seconds cooldown reduction on your abilities. Therefore, if an enemy is constantly moving away from you, it will be very, very hard to hit the damage portion of that heroic perk, meaning you won't get much cooldown reduction on your abilities, meaning that you won't be able to follow up after you you've used your A very well. So those are some of the drawbacks of the CP Grace. Let's have a look at some of the positives then. Like I said, very, very high CP ratios. She works so well with a captain that will do the engaging for you, like a Finn. If Finn drags the enemy team into you, Grace will have a field day because she doesn't actually have to close much distance to get to them. Again, on the flip side of the Holy Shield, if you are using it correctly, you will have an insane amount of damage reduction because it does scale with CP. So the more CP you have, the more damage reduction that you're going to get, which makes her harder and harder to kill as you go into the late game. And she's an excellent complement to a high damage carry in lane, just like I said in the support section. You know, if she can use that holy shield on a carry, then you both are very hard to kill and you've got both very high damage outputs. I expect to see more Grace in the captain role for now, but I do think there is a room for her to expand into the jungle. You might even see CP Grace in lane because of her ability to clear waves very quickly using her A and her heroic perk. She's got excellent wave shove, so keep an eye on that. So I promised you guys story time. So the reason I haven't uploaded in a month was, if you remember about 2 months ago, I said I was moving house. And I'm currently still in the process of moving house. I had to move out of my rented accommodation because I gave in my notice. Unfortunately, the house that I'm buying wasn't ready. So I moved in with my parents, and their internet speed is 0.15 megabits a second. Yes, that's right, that's 150 kilobits a second, which means I could do nothing. I could barely even play Vainglory there. So I took it into my own hands to go and rent an office space. If you watch me stream, which I know some of you might do, you'll notice that I'm in my office right now. I've only just moved into it this week. I've started making videos again, and I am back full-time with a space that I can do it from with a good internet connection. So I don't have to live in the squalor of my parents' farm with no internet. It's not actually that squalor. It's quite a nice house, but now I'm in my office, so I can make all the videos that I need to, do all the commentary and everything like that. So I'm back full time, guys. I'll see you soon.